All right, guys. Hello again. It's 301 North Carolina. I figured I just did the frequency counter review, and this sits right next to it. This is SURECOM. It's the SW-102HF. This is my SWR meter that I use. A lot of radios, for example, I always use the unit in up here as my kind of core example of a stock radio. This has an SWR meter built into it. You can calibrate it and then see what it's going to be kicking out. It's great. It works as it should. This is a little bit more accurate. I'm going to run this through my President Washington because that's what I have this hooked up to. But just to kind of show you what it does. I really like the SURECOM product. The first SURECOM I actually had was the SW-102 for UHF, VHF, as you can see on the back there. This one I actually was using for, you can kind of see it up off camera. I have a GMRS radio up here. That's a Midland MXT50. So when I was bench testing a couple of those, I was just putting them on the meter just to make sure that they were on frequency and to see what wattage they were at. When Midland first rolled out those MXT 50s, for those of you who know what a GMRS radio is, 50 is the max wattage that you're legally allowed to transmit on those. So I actually bought the meter to see what it was. The one I have now is currently somewhere between I think it's probably 45 and 47 watts. The original one I had bought off of somebody else was really only kicking out 25 or 30. Again, that was used, bought it as is. So for all I know, it was kind of a lemon to begin with, but the new ones are kicking out about 45. If you guys are interested in GMRS stuff, I could start making videos about that. I do that as well, and we can talk about that. But back to the review about the SURECOM. So again, I have this hooked up to my President Washington. I really like these. Just to talk about the construction, metal housing, strong connections on both sides. As you can see, these fittings are bolted directly in. Charging port on the side. The battery lasts forever on these things. I've had this for probably about a year. I think I've charged it maybe 3 times fully. So they're great. Good display. I know it's a little bit hard to see because it's smaller. We're not going to walk you through all the settings, but pretty much what everybody's interested in on this is essentially the power that you're transmitting on, and then obviously the SWR of your unit. So I'm going to tilt it down a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. So I like the SURECOM product. I'm just going to key up. I found some open space on channel 30 on the CB, so that's what we're going to be using for this video. So as you can see, we're at about 1.11 on an SWR. That's 5.5 watts coming out at channel 30 on my President Washington. Anywhere between 5 and 5.5 is what the President Washington has done since I got it. Stock, no amplifier on this currently for the purposes of this meter test. So my President Washington actually kicks out about 5.5 kind of stock. Obviously the legal transmitting power on CB is 4. That still falls within the parameters of that. It's a little bit high, but nobody ever complained about an extra 1.5 watts. So as you can see, we're pretty much dialed in on this unit. I mean, I could probably get the SWR a little bit better if I tweaked with some of the coax that I've run, but again, just key it up. Coming in right there at the end, 4 watts, almost dead, 1.06 on an SWR. So really good meter. This thing can do a bunch of other stuff. Most of the questions I get asked about are pretty much just, do you like the display and do you feel like the wattage in the SWR are accurate? From running it against other meters, I really like this one. I would definitely buy this again. I don't really use it for any of the other features. You can kind of get as crazy as you want with these meters. For my purposes, I really just want to make sure that my SWR is close to where I'm supposed to be. And, if you're playing around with wattage or if you have an amplifier, this will actually do up to 120 watts. Obviously, I would never suggest doing that on CB radio because that's not legal. But if you are playing around with an amplifier, this will tell you what you're getting out to 120 watts on AM. Again, like with most meters, as soon as you put it into sideband, this thing is going to not really do what it's supposed to. I'm going to show you just real quick, just so you can kind of get an example. On sideband, there's no carrier signal on sideband, so that's how this actually pulls up the reading. That's why you can do it. You don't need to talk or whistle into it. But just real quick, if I flip it over to lower sideband, you'll see I get some weird readouts. You're still kind of seeing it, but the numbers aren't really accurate. And if I do the old whistle test, you'll see you can kind of get a wattage readout there, and the SWR bouncing around. But again, no carrier signal on lower sideband, so just for AM. There you go, closing out with 5.4 watts, 1.3 SWR. Really like the meter. I think they're affordable for what they do. It's got some other features, but again, pretty much what I get asked is, how often am I using it? I actually check my SWR before I transmit every day, so I'm always firing that thing up. Great charge, great housing, really like it, like the SURECOM products. Like I said, I've got 2 of them. I like both of them. So yeah, if you guys are interested, SURECOM has a great product. Not an endorsement, but I like them. So, all right, guys, 301 North Carolina, saying 73s. I'll be back on the side. And again, if you guys are interested in some GMRS content, I can also start making that. If anybody's curious, yeah, like, subscribe, leave a comment. I'll talk to you guys soon.